Hey everybody, thank you for joining today's webinar. We're really excited to have you. This beat our previous record for most attendees, so awesome stuff. Thanks for signing up and thanks for joining us. But we're just going to give everybody about 30 seconds here before we get rocking and rolling, just as people keep joining on in. Right. Justin, you see my screen there? No, too cool. All right. All right, we'll go ahead and kick on off here. Again, this webinar, as usual, will be recorded. We'll send out the recording to all partners, and generally we post this up on YouTube as well. So if you have anybody from your teams that isn't available to make it today live, they'll be able to watch this post. Just want to go over a couple things before we get started. Down at the bottom, there's two separate sections. We opened up both of them today. Sometimes they cause confusion, so that's why we usually just keep the questions open, but we have chat and questions. And the difference there is if you guys just want to chat, provide feedback, commentary on the webinar, feel free to drop your comments in the chat bubble. That'll go amongst the entire audience. And then questions will be put in there, and that's what we'll answer live at the end of the session. So if you have any questions that you want answered during the webinar, make sure they're in the questions section. And if you just want to, chat and amongst yourselves, please feel free to use the chat option. And then just wanted to give you guys a thank you. Just again, the attendance and just the traction that we've seen as of late amongst the partner community is incredible. And we truly want to thank you guys for being here and for putting us in the position that you have. Again, we started as partners, as resellers ourselves. So we really do appreciate the opportunity to continue to deliver what we feel like is the product that we were searching for all along. And again, we just want to let you guys know that we value your trust. We understand the assignment. And we really do want to provide you guys with the best wholesale voice solutions possible. So again, just thank you. All right. So today, agenda-wise, what we're going to cover. So this has been essentially the most asked about functionality that we've gotten over the last several months about the AI agents. If you guys, a lot of you guys had the opportunity to meet us at a couple different over the last conferences, whether it was channel partners at IT Expo. We met with over 30 partners across those two events, and almost Justin will vouch, almost every single session we touched on these topics, and that's why we felt it was very important to dive deeper and cover them for you, so you feel more comfortable and confident, and just truly understand what you can deliver with these AI agents. So today, Justin's going to take you through. He's going to show you how to connect the AI agents to Zapier, and then he's going to show you how to build out workflows there. He's going to do the same with another platform that's similar called N8N. And then we're also going to show you our new UI and the V1.2 launch update, which is going to be going live tonight. And then also we'll be showing you our new AI voice agent quote to cash automation that is now live in ViiBE. So you can quote and bill your customers automatically right through the platform accurately. You don't have to worry about any minute leakage or anything like that. All right, so V1.2 that we're going to be launching this weekend, this evening. If you had the chance to meet us at Channel Partners, you guys already got to get a sneak peek of this. We've been testing, Justin and I have been testing this for several months now. This is awesome new versions, got a lot of the functionality that a lot of you guys have been asking for, again, that Justin will go over. I'm just going to high level it for you, not to take any time off of Justin's demo, but we're going to go over things like the pronunciation tool that's now added, Grok support, warm transfers, NetSapiens integration, you name it. There's a lot of really cool functionality, new reporting dashboard, everything that you guys are going to want to, see and play with there. All right. Keeping on. Just some events this year, and we're going to take your guys' feedback here at the end. We already have 2 planned events. One's going to be in Philadelphia, one's going to be here in Tampa. We're also we're going to do both of these locations, but we're just looking to poll you guys on which one would be priority, and then probably the other one will be early 2027 if we can't fit it in this year. But we're between Phoenix and Texas for the next one. Texas, we're between 3 cities, Austin, Houston, and Dallas. We have a pretty good split of partners amongst them. So we're going to be looking for your guys' feedback, which cities, where you guys prefer. And this was our goal. We always have our big Viirtue Connect event. We try and do that every 18 months. But one of our goals over the last 6 to 12 months as a team was to do more of these regional events. We had a lot of feedback from partners that want more intimate events, maybe 10 or 11 partners instead of the whole crew. We can figure out what you guys specifically want to learn about. And again, make them kind of like little mini Viirtue Connects that are more focused, not as much of a time commitment on your side, and we'll try and come to you and get closer to where you guys are. Also, some big platform investments. So as you guys know, we spent a lot of time, energy, and dollars over the last year really investing in scaling the platform to meet our growth. As of today, we have well over 260,000 total users within our ecosystem within NetSapiens. Yeah, we just had to do a lot of work there to help scale the platform and to scale with your guys' growth. So one of the things that we recently had launched here in Q1 was our new Virginia colo is now live. That was built out, I think, in Q3 of last year and underwent, regression testing there. So that POP is live, and there are thousands of endpoints on it at this point. And it just gives us more network capacity, and that piggybacks on where we added Vegas as our third colo. So now we have 4 call processing POPs. We have more data center presences, but that's just where calls are processed. So now we have New Jersey, Florida, Virginia, and Vegas. And then some new hires to the team. Some of you guys might have met these people already. First is Mark Hagler. He's our new SVP of Platform Engineering, and he leads up the UCaaS platform team. Previously, Mark was the head of cloud operations over at NetSapiens, so he brings over incredible experience. And him and Renee, our support director, actually worked together for a long time at a prior company. So Mark came on as a consultant several months ago, and he started full-time a little over a month ago with us. Again, hit the ground running, and he's done incredible things for the team. And then also we brought over Napoleon Bonilla also from Tier 3 NetSapiens team. We've known Napo for a long time, just working with him at NetSapiens, and he's essentially already very well familiar with our ecosystem. Again, both of them have been able to come in here and really hit the ground running, and we're super thankful for it. And I'm sure you guys have already noticed just across the board better performance. All right. So with that, I'm going to do a quick demo for you guys. So we have just launched the AI voice agent quote to cash automation in ViiBE. So now you're able to build an AI voice agent product in ViiBE. You're able to link it to a customer, to the AI agent within a customer tenant or within a customer domain within the platform. And then you're able to set it so it bills automatically. So you don't have to think about this. Again, just being as the AI agents are generally, you include a bucket of minutes. And this is just about how everybody, RingCentral, you name it, is billing for these. You include a bucket of minutes. And if they go overage, you'll be able to choose how much they pay per minute. Or if you just want to completely pay as you go, again, you'll see we give you a couple different options here. So I'm going to go through a live demo now. I just want to make sure, can you guys all see my screen? We're good here in ViiBE? Awesome. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is building a product. So this is the very first thing you're going to want to do is come here to your product catalog and hit create product. And then you can go ahead and name it anything you want. I'm just going to name it AI voice agent. We're going to choose a recurring billing period. And then for category, you're going to scroll down here to AI voice agent. And then you'll see you get 2 different options. So we can either do a bundled minutes plan or simply pay per minute, where you set a fee for the agent and then it's just completely pay as you go. If you want to be a little bit disruptive, you can, again, play with these different plans. What I would suggest is just do it the same way we bill you guys. Select the bundled minutes tier. You can select your monthly service fee, add whatever markup you want to it, how many minutes you want to include, and then you can just put in how much the overage is per minute. You'll hit create product, and then you'll get something like this. That'll be in your product catalog. So now you can quote for it, you can invoice for it. Once you've done that, we'll go in here to an account that I already have set up with it. You go into the account, you'll hit this settings gear right here at the top. And then over here under suppliers, you're going to scroll down to AI voice agents. And then you'll hit link account. We'll link it to our domain, which is we used to be called Centel Solutions way back in the day. So now we're connected. We go back to the account. And then what you'll see is you can simply just add it to a billing period like we have here. And then once you have it added to a billing period, it'll calculate all the usage for that point in time. And it actually pulls the usage several times throughout the day. So you'll get pretty much real time what the usage is at for your customer, even during a billing period. And then I'll show you here when an invoice is generated, you'll get the usage. We'll click into it, and you'll see the entire breakdown. So you'll see what the service fee was, how many minutes were included, what the overage was, how many minutes they actually used, how many agents were in there. And as you can see, the system automatically billed them for all that usage, and it applied the appropriate telecom taxes and fees. So awesome job to the ViiBE team. Thank you guys so much for being so awesome and building such a great tool. We really appreciate it, and I hope you guys find value in it too. Sorry, I'll get rid of my inception here. There we go. All right, awesome. All right, so with that, Justin, I'd love to kick it on over to you so you could take over the show.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Dan. All right, so while I share my screen, let's kind of talk about what we're going to go over today. So as I'm sure you know, if you've joined these before, these webinars, we're essentially going to focus on the integration side, right? We've done the crawl, walk, run type of deal. And we finally gotten to the point of, answering the question that's probably asked the most. Well, how do I connect it? Or how can I connect it to my other applications, EHRs, CRMs, so forth? All right. And there's a lot of different ways. There's actually 4 levels or so in order to do it. And we're going to kind of, in our own sense here today, crawl, walk, and run. We're going to take a peek at what exactly is possible and how to do it. We're also going to walk through some integrations through Zapier as well as N8N, which is similar to Zapier. I'll hold my personal opinion for that. But that said, let's dive into it here. All right. So like I said, there's about 4 layers of integration capability here. All right. So it's very simple to set up in most cases. I say most cases because sometimes you'll need a little extra sauce here and there. But that said, you've got a lot of different options. Now, number 1, let's talk about it. Quick refresher. We definitely covered this in the last webinar, but I do want to kind of rehash what exactly is going on here. Now, this is going to be the first layer that I'm going to talk about, the built-ins, okay? So pre-designed or pre-connected integrations that you can choose from here, all right? So Google Calendar, we'll focus on that one today and just kind of get a reminder, refresher of how that looks, how that works. You're also going to have the ability to connect an Outlook calendar. And what this is going to do is basically open up the connection to your calendar. All right, so making the connection is one thing, but specifically instructing what the agent can and can't do is going to be another. All right, so you're basically going to make a connection, and then from there, use the agent instructions to tell your AI agent when to do things, when not to do things, when to connect to certain things. And we'll make sense of all the things here in a second. But we do have some other ones that are pre-built, ModMed, which is just an EHR. MCP, we'll talk in depth about that. That's essentially how you would connect it to things like Zapier, workflow automations with N8N and so forth, but also how you can connect to other existing CRMs, EHRs, and so forth. It's typically just dropping a URL in it, but we'll get a visual on that here in a second. I'm going to tease you on this one, the NetSapiens integration. This is also a direct integration. It seems a little strange, I'm sure, because AI agents already lives in NetSapiens, but what this will do is allow you to do things like manage your account, right? So rather than have to log into the PBX portal, which you see here in the background, or the end user facing portal in a case, what you can do, or your end users can do, is actually call the bot, the AI agent, and then from there instruct it as to what it needs to change. Maybe update its password, maybe change its answering rules, maybe change routing and so forth. You'll be able to do that with the NetSapiens integration, all right? And it's fairly simple to set up, but we'll save that for a later date, later date, and kind of focus on, again, the pre-builds. Now, in this case, maybe I just wanted a scheduling agent, and it's very simple to connect it to a calendar simply by selecting Google Calendar, choosing your account, and then from there, basically giving it permission to have access to it, right? What can it do? When can it do it? And again, the instructions are going to tell your AI agent when it should schedule. Do I need only 30-minute blocks? Don't start scheduling 90-minute things for me. Maybe give me 10-minute buffers in between each meeting so that I'm not back-to-back or overlapped and so forth. So again, it's always going to come down to the specific instructions once you've made your connection, regardless of what you're connecting to. So in this case, this is all I need to do. So now I'm connected to my email or my calendar here at this email address from Google. I can save the calendar, and then from there, I'm off and running. That's it. That's the first step. Okay, that's the simplest one. I would say same thing for Outlook. Excuse me, if you're an admin, you'll have access to those calendars, to those accounts and so forth, to again, give that bot access to it to check for availability, schedule appointments, cancel appointments, maybe even reschedule and so forth based on the conditions or rules that you've set. Okay. Now, probably why most of y'all are here. All right. So Zapier as well as N8N. Okay. How to connect it. It's very, very simple. Okay. Now I've already made connections and I'm not going to break them in this case, but we're going to walk through how to build workflows in both of those particular types of apps or middlewares. All right. So I've got my Zap set up. So I've connected it through MCP. All right. So as you can see, this nice little icon here, I've got one built for Zapier and one built for N8N. And we're just going to take a peek at what exactly it looks like here on our side. All right. And then we'll get into how to build the workflows. Zapier, that's my favorite because, and that's just anecdotal, personal opinion, but it makes things super simple because it's typically just once you make that connection, you click to add your tools to the toolbox. And then from there, you can open up the world to have your agent do multiple things if you wish to do so, endless, really. But again, it'll always come down to those agent instructions. Now, in the terms of how to connect it, all right, it's basically just going to be a URL that you paste in here, all right, and then choose the transport type. For Zapier, it's going to be HTTP, just based on how they function. But that said, where did I get this URL from? All right. And as you can see down here, before we dive into where I got it from, you can see the available tools that are already connected to this particular AI agent. All right. So first step, log into your Zapier account. All right. Mine's free. Granted, I've only got, I think, 2 or 3 days left on the free account. But that said, also, even if you pay for the, I think, $20 one, you'll have access to MCP server. All right. So with that said, where to get started? Log into your account, mcp.zapier.com. And then from there, just build a new server. All right. And this is very straightforward. Once you build the server or choose to do so, simply choose other. Okay. And then once you've done it, you've basically built your toolbox. Okay. So this is going to be where you'll pull your connection information from. But as you can see below, now you can start to add tools. Okay. Maybe I want to add, say, Google Calendar. Click on it, choose what exactly you'd like it to do. Maybe create a detailed event. Sure. Connect it to your account. I've already got some preset here, but either way, I've already got the credentials logged in. So now I can just simply add the tool, and it's going to be the same effect that you would see otherwise in the PBX portal when we made that internal type of connection for the Google Calendar. Log into your account, connect it, you're off and running. Same thing for things like HubSpot. Maybe I wanted to add new leads to HubSpot automatically, just as straightforward here. All right, so choose HubSpot, choose the tool that you'd like to use here, okay? And then from there, just simply connect it to your account. Now, I don't need to kind of get redundant here. I've already built one like I mentioned, so we can just kind of take a peek at what it looks like. So as you can see, I've got Google Calendar, I've got HubSpot, maybe again to add those new leads or people that dial in, just to make sure that they're in our account. And you can also set this up to not overwrite or maybe copy paste. So basically check its work. Make sure that you're not making duplicate logs for HubSpot. You can do it. All right. And again, that's going to come down to the agent instructions. Same thing for Slack. I've got all lines covered here. All right. So I'm scheduling calendar events, sending out notifications, maybe even adding a Google Meet link, in this case, an HD video conference. If they wish, you can give it that option and it will do it. Connect to HubSpot again to generate that new contact or update information, and then connect to Slack. Maybe I've got a channel that's for the sales team to follow up with, right? So that they are visually aware of all the inbound, so that it's not necessarily having to notify multiple separate individuals. It could just be dumped directly into a Slack channel so that everybody on the team knows. And based on their region, maybe they're going to follow up based on that. All right, but either way, we'll take a peek at what that looks like here more in a second. Now, once you have built your toolbox, added your tools to the toolbox, now it's time to connect it. Add that URL, right? Very simple. Again, simply choose the connect option. I don't want to rotate this token, but essentially if I did, what it would do is give me that URL that we saw previously that we would add back here to the AI agent. All right, so it's going to give you your unique URL to connect to your toolbox. And then from there, it's going to open up all of your connections from the tools in that toolbox so that, again, you can now start to granularly break down your instructions for your agent. All right, that's it. That's it. Once you've connected it, you can start to play with it and so forth. And N8N is going to be very similar. Granted, there is definitely a steeper learning curve with N8N, okay? Very much so. Trust me, ask me how I know. But that said, some folks prefer it. Some folks prefer Zapier. I'm not going to get into the weeds on that one. But that said, how to do it. Number one, it's going to function the same way in terms of connection as Zapier did, where essentially now I need to go in back to my MCP type of connection. We'll do it again for N8N. Go into the MCP portion. You can see I've already got my URL in here, but how, again, the heck do I get that? And again, you can already see some tools that have been set up here connected through N8N. So first things first, log into your N8N account, create a new workflow, okay? And the first step is just that, add a first step. And this one's also very straightforward. We just want MCP server. And as you can see here, there's the trigger. And there we go, we've got our URL now, all right? So use the production URL, don't use the test URL. But either way, this isn't gonna change as you start to add more tools to your workflow. So you can even copy and paste this in currently if you wish to do so, or wait till the end, that's just fine. Now, in terms of where to go next, so I've built my MCP server trigger, I've got it connected to the PBX AI agent, and now it's time to start making my connections, right? What tools do I wanna add? Let's mimic what we had going on in Zapier, all right? Maybe we want Google Calendar. There we go. And now again, I can make that connection to my account. I've already got one set up here that I'm just gonna simply collect, or I should say connect. And then from there, there's nothing else really that you need to do unless you're savvy enough to go through this and really understand what's going on here, but we'll keep it simple. All right, so I simply just want to create a connection to Google Calendar. And as you can see, it's not actually connected because I didn't actually log into the account, but we can take a peek at my other workflow in the background that we're going to demonstrate on here in the PBX. Maybe again, also I wanted to connect to HubSpot. Sure, same effect. Log into my account, create a new credential if you need to, but essentially once you've set that up, that's going to be another portion of your connections from that MCP server trigger. And then again, also, maybe I wanted to connect to Slack. Let's see if they're in here. They absolutely are, okay? So now again, it's just kind of breaking down what exactly you'd like it to do. Do you want to send a message to a channel, a user? What kind of operations do you want to do? And basically from there, you're going to break it down. This is certainly more granular than Zapier. It's a little bit more straightforward, but this gives you a bit more resources. Again, if you're smarter than me, you'll be able to work through this and be able to, again, set up the conditions for when you do things, what you're connecting to, when you're going to do things, and then again, use your agent instructions to instruct the agent as to when exactly it can start to make those connections. Okay, so now I've got something similar built as I did in Zapier. All right. Now this one's non-functional. We can go back to my one that I previously built. You can see it's published, okay? So in this case, I've got everything connected and working, right? Now I just simply need to publish it, okay? So this is basically just saying, hey, okay, you've made some changes perhaps. Now it's time to go live with this. Great. So now I'm off and running. Now I can start to play with it, maybe, right? So now if after the construction of my workflow, I didn't copy that URL right away, I can simply just open this up, go to the production URL, copy it, paste it back into the AI agents MCP connection, choose SSE in this case for N8N and how it connects. And then from there, it's going to connect and show you again the tools that have been connected to it. So now I got to get into the agent instructions, right? So that's the most important part, is instructing this thing what to do, when to do it, and so forth. And we can take a peek at the Zapier one just real quick to show you what I mean. All right, so you've made your connection, you basically dug that tunnel, and now it's time to start training this thing. When to do things, when not to do things, how concise you want things to be, and when to, of course, connect. So core responsibilities here. All right, so this would have started out as, in my case, a receptionist agent, but I wanted to start to stack functionality. I don't only want it to start to answer calls, introduce my business, maybe answer a couple questions about the business, hours, basic info, and so forth. I want it to be able to schedule. I want it to be able to add leads to HubSpot, and I want it to be able to notify my team back in Slack that it did so, okay? So that you're not having to constantly monitor HubSpot and so forth. So that's it. We've got some conditions here in terms of how I set this up, okay, and how it's going to send information off to a Zapier connection. So in the case of when I'm collecting information, this is the format that I always want when it's connected to Zapier, and it's adding things to maybe in this case Slack or an appointment. Now I've given instructions on actual calendar functions, right? Again, you can break this down and say, hey, I've given you access to my calendar. Don't eat up my time. Okay, again, 30 minutes, right? Each and every time that you schedule a meeting, collect the information, add it to the actual invitation, collect their email address so that you're ensuring that the inbound caller actually gets their invitation, all right? And then from there, being able to, again, further kind of decipher, do I want 10, 15-minute buffers between, 5-minute buffers, whatever I may need. And again, also add that Gmail, or I should say a Google Calendar, Google Meets, finally, got it. Google Meets link also to that invitation, not only for whoever's receiving the notification for this, but also for whoever's calendar it's on, but also for that inbound caller who wanted to schedule that appointment. All right. And I can even break it down further for Slack to say, hey, in certain conditions, if somebody mentions something about sales, type that in here. Say, only if it's something sales worthy at that point in time, send it off to my particular Slack channel. And that's the only time. All right. If it's any other condition, send it off, answer questions, maybe schedule an appointment for some follow-up later. There's a lot. Use your imagination. You can do just about everything. Okay. And you can even condition it to say, hey, before you post a message to a Slack channel, give it a header, right? Say, hey, inbound sales lead, or maybe a support lead, and you're sending it to another channel and so forth, so that you can, again, further decipher what exactly is going on here, okay? So those are the basics. We're going to play with it here in a second, but also what I did want to throw in besides N8N as well as Zapier is just a simple webhook, okay? So maybe you didn't see your application on the list of tools for either of those middlewares. Maybe you just simply want to set up a hook, okay? And in this case, maybe I just wanted to be simple. I just wanted to be basic. So now what I need to do is simply just edit the agent, and come down here to the sub functions. Now you can see there's plenty of functions to add: webhooks, email during a call, warm transfers to other agents. The ability to send SMS as well as outbound voice will come soon. We might even have an integration with Twilio. On the fence about that one, just because of how long it takes to get through their 10 DLC process. But either way, we'll have our own built-in SMS capability, and soon you will be able to send notifications out via SMS or text. And also, we've got some other ones here: chat support with NS messaging. That's just part of that integration a little bit further and deeper into it with NetSapiens. But again, we'll tease on that and just stick to the webhooks for now. Okay, so adding a webhook, just simply add it, select it, and now you get some fields to where you can now paste in information. We're not going to add anything here. We'll go back to the one that I had previously built, simply for a connection to Slack. Okay. So with Slack, maybe I don't want a Zapier account. Maybe I don't want to pay for one. Same thing for N8N. They will expire after a period for the MCP capability. So let's just keep things super simple. And where this would actually start outside of the agent would actually be in Slack itself. Okay. So with Slack, you can build workflows, which is pretty neat. It's kind of the same way. You're going to build some tools here, some connections, and then from there, it's going to spit out a URL again, or some code for you to be able to paste in. So you're going to start here with your tools in Slack. Now you're into workflows, all right? So just simply build a new workflow. Choose an event. So in this case, I want to create a webhook. So now I just simply need to say, hey, my trigger is going to be from a webhook, and now I get to set up variables, right? So this is just the data that you're collecting, all right? And there's a lot of different information out there on the web, including Slack's own knowledge base. But in this case, I just want the customer name. That's one, and it's going to be a data type of text. Okay, it's going to send that customer name, the collected name, to my Slack channel, amongst other things. So I can say done. I can add another variable and say, hey, customer company. Probably most importantly in this industry, customer number, their phone number, maybe even email address, maybe further information, their actual address, and so forth. Just better follow-up information. And as you can see, as you start to add these, it's going to start to build out your HTTP body, your calls, essentially, okay? But from there, simply continue on. And now it's time to start to add your steps. What do I want to do with this, right? So again, for inbound, maybe I did want to collect inbound prospect information, right? So in this case, I want to send that information to a channel. So I'm going to choose a message. I'm going to choose to send to a channel rather than a person. I almost selected that. And now I get to connect it to a channel. So now I can say, hey, this is the channel I want you to dump that information into. And now here's how I want to organize the information. Now, again, in the message, you can say, hey, inbound sales lead, maybe even follow up ASAP. Not that anybody wouldn't, but that said, just some kind of demonstration as to what exactly you could put in there. Now insert the variables. You remember those variables that we input, all right? Now I've got customer company, name, number, and so forth. I can add all of it together or pick and choose the data based on the other workflows that I perhaps have built. But in this case, we'll just insert all the data and it will automatically drop in all of your calls, all of your variables, all right? And this is basically how this message is gonna show up in the channel, okay? To where now it's gonna say, hey, I've collected a customer company name, I've collected a customer's actual name for their contact, their number, and now, again, I'm gonna dump that into that channel, all right? So we simply save this, but we're not gonna go ahead and again, keep things redundant. We'll go back to a workflow that I had built. There we go. And now it's time to collect the webhook information. So I did the same thing here with this particular instance for this demo. Caller name, caller number, the reason why they called, which probably makes more sense than some of the other ones that I input. But otherwise, again, it's going to be down to you to instruct your AI voice agent to collect this information. You're going to use parameters to essentially make those connections to say, hey, when the AI agent collects this is what it means, okay? So when it asks for their contact information, their first name, their last name, that actually means caller name. When it collects their phone number, that actually means caller number. And we're going to break down how that looks in the webhook configuration once we dive back into the AI voice agent, okay? But now it's time to, again, steal that URL, and that's all you need to do. As you can see, it's all broken down, your variables, your HTTP body if you needed it, and then of course also that connection here. So simply copy that link, go on back over to your AI voice agents, drop in that URL, okay? And you're done. That's truly it. Give it a name, a friendly name, From there, give it a description if you've got multiple going on in the background, just so that you can identify what's what. And now it's time to set my parameters. Again, here's what Slack is expecting, and here's what I have in my agent instructions. Caller name, right? Caller number, that means caller phone number. The reason for calling, same thing. Reason versus reason for calling, okay? So this is that connection to ensure that that data gets dumped correctly. Ask me how I know, back into Slack. All right, we can get a taste of what that looks like here once you've made that connection. So we've set this up, we've perhaps given the agent some better instructions, and now it's time to see what exactly this looks like, okay? So now I'm gonna go back to the channel that it's connected to. You can see I've got Zapier connected here to Slack, as we saw previously. N8N is also connected here, and now I also have just simply my hook, okay? So now what this is doing is collecting that information, their name, their business name, their phone number, and so forth, and it's gonna dump it all here. Actually, I think this one's from N8N. Yes, that is. So this one is actually from the hook, or these are. So we got Morgan Freeman calling in here, lucky us. We've got his number, we've got the reason that he called, and we've also got the date and time that that happened, that occurred, based on whatever date is set in your AI agent. So just bear that in mind, okay? And you can also instruct it to say, hey, every time you schedule something, every time that you share information, use Central Time, use Eastern Time, and so forth. You can get that granular. It's pretty amazing stuff. Makes things very, very easy, okay? But either way, we've set it up, we've instructed it. I've dialed in a couple different times this morning, as you can see here, and we've collected our information not only through the hook, through Zapier, but also now through N8N. And again, it's doing a lot of things at once. So you've collected information from Zapier, N8N, wherever. It's added it to an appointment. It's added it to, in this case, Slack. It's added it also as a contact, perhaps, in, let's see which one we got, maybe Jesus Parker. Let's take a peek at that one. It should have created a contact here in HubSpot. There we go. So we've got Jesus Parker at Baker Co. He called in. He was set up as a contact here in HubSpot. So now we've got that contact built so that we can further follow up, add notes, meeting notes, etc. Just again, keep that process rolling. We were informed about it, so that's how we know to dive into HubSpot. And again, he's already on our calendar, whoever's calendar that may be. So now they already have something pre-scheduled so that they're not having to go through that rigmarole. They're not having to do all that themselves, okay? They're basically relying on the AI agent to do all that in the background so that they can focus on more meaningful stuff. And in this case, I mean my sales team, right? They should be out there hunting for blood, right? They should be out there, you know, kind of digging up the prospects and so forth, okay? Now that's kind of it in a nutshell. Just for time's sake, and last time we used Livestorm, you couldn't actually hear the conversation. But if you're curious, during the Q&A, we can always dive back in and do a screen share to see what that looks like through the actual AI agent itself. Granted, you won't hear it. But before we do, just a couple new features that I did want to point out here, specifically the pronunciation tool. All right, to where say, hey, every time I've typed in, because I've typed it so many times, Viirtue with 2 I's, better than 1. But essentially, I typed it into my agent instructions, and it just makes more sense to say, hey, rather than have to dig through all my instructions, because it's pronouncing this as Viirtue when it's talking to folks, I just want to simply make sure that it's saying it in the correct fashion as Viirtue. All right, and you can test it. From there, you can add as many additional ones as you wish to do so. Somebody's got a complicated name. Well, go ahead and clear that up here with the pronunciation tool. All right, pretty cool stuff there as well. And again, that's all that you need to do. Type in the word that's maybe difficult for it to pronounce, and then from there, just clarify it, test it, make sure it sounds like you wish, and then keep it rolling. All right. Now, again, some other new stuff that I'll give you kind of a little bit of a taste on that Dan had mentioned, all right, is going to be also some voice-related stuff, all right, to where now you can have full control over the cadence of that conversation, all right? This wasn't in the release notes that Dan had showed, but this is another important tool. When does it interrupt? How long is it going to delay after it interrupts? It thinks it heard something. And also just kind of, again, keep that cadence of that conversation very, very clear and concise, okay? Now also, which was added back into it, which some people like, some people don't, thinking sounds, that little click clack, like it's typing on a keyboard, just to make sure that it's not dead silence in the background, just so that you know that that agent is actually interacting with you. All right, it's answering questions, it's working on your question, maybe it's doing some scheduling. Sometimes the scheduling or connections to certain calendars, Calendly, I'm looking at you, takes a little bit of time, all right, takes a couple seconds. And in that case, you don't want that dead silence. So now you can turn on thinking sounds, choose the sound that you'd like for it to add, get a nice little preview, and choose the volume so that you're not blasting folks' ears if they happen to have earbuds on, right? If they're interacting with it through the computer audio. Another cool feature is the fact that we've got Grok now, fast, and it is fast. I'll tell you that, definitely. Say what you want about Grok, you know, it is a little spicy here and there. I know we've encountered that, but the way this works, all right, so the LLMs, and we're going to see Claude and so forth coming down the pike here very soon. But it's basically like choosing a personality for your instructions, all right? And some of them follow them well, precise. Some of them try to add their own little extra sauce. So you might have to add your further conditions to, again, keep whatever one that you choose in line. But that said, you're going to have more and more of these to choose from. And again, Grok is extremely fast in terms of not only when it's integrated with things, how quickly it can reach out, but also in terms of its response. Not too much faster than the ChatGPT, fast and smart. But again, we'll also have ChatGPT 5.0 rolling down the pike here soon as well, okay? So that's kind of the integrations in a nutshell. Again, if the questions kind of weigh into it, we can certainly interact with one that I've built here, okay? But also keep your questions for the Q&A. Make sure not to dump those in the chat. And from there, we can just go ahead and toss it on back over to Dan. I'll stop sharing here and jump into the Q&A, maybe answer some questions for you guys and keep it rolling.
Yeah, no, thank you, Justin. You did an amazing job. We have a lot of questions, so we'll roll through them. And thank you guys for being so engaging in the chat. And actually, before we roll through the questions, I saw Nelson had thrown something in there about the Eagles Autism Foundation. There's a link there in the chat, and I made a donation while we were going through. So if anybody, I think that's a great cause, obviously, go Birds. So if anybody wants to donate to that, thank you for sharing that, Nelson. It's right there in the chat. Awesome. So let's go through some questions. So the first question we got is, can you provide Virginia IPs for partners? And what I would say is, so just remember, we do the load balancing automatically on the back end, so you don't have to think about that stuff. But it is different if you're on BYOC. So just if you open a ticket with support, they can give you all the details there. And if that change impacts you or anything like that. But yeah, David, just let me know if you have any follow-ups to that. Next question. So even if an account is in ViiBE linked to a domain, we still need to link the account to A.I.V.A. And yes, that is correct. So you just need to connect it that one time, just link it. And then that'll be the end of that. I do know the team is working on some more automation. I think it was just we needed an extra API endpoint to call to make that a little bit more automatic, so you don't have to put in a domain. I don't know any further details on that. There might be more news to come on future webinars that, again, there might be a little bit more automation, less steps for you. Next question was, when integrating Outlook Calendar, what if you are not an admin on Outlook 365? How do you connect without admin permissions? And yeah, if you know anything about Microsoft, yeah, everything's permission based. So you would have to, that customer would have to have that permission allowed so they can connect there. I don't know, Justin, maybe like there's probably other ways you could do it, like a Zap or something like that to send an invite.
Actually, no. Even if you use a Zap, it's going to have to require that you be an admin to set that up, unfortunately. Yeah, just a Microsoft thing, like Dan said.
Yeah, so it's just a Microsoft thing. I know I had actually that same issue when I tried to connect mine, and I had to get the permission set. So know exactly what you ran into there, Paul. And I don't think Google has that issue, but yeah, Microsoft, that's part of their ecosystem. Everything's permissions. Another question was, is Justin on a later version of NS? The A.I.V.A. interface looks slightly different. And yeah, if you guys didn't recall from the earlier slides, this is a newer version that's going to be launching tonight. So mostly everything's the same, just a nicer, fresher UI, new dashboards and stuff like Justin showed. So it is a nicer, cleaner look, but same application, just the update that we're going to run tonight and push to production. What you guys were seeing was our sandbox. Next question was, do the AI minutes get charged per minute per second? If one client uses 30 seconds and a separate client uses 30 seconds, that's count one total minute. No, yeah, so it is the first minute, I believe, is 60 seconds. So, and then after that, it's tallied. So again, the best way that you can reconcile that usage is going to be with ViiBE, because the way we reconcile within ViiBE is exactly the same way that our charges get charged to us. So we wanted to give you that exact same ability to bill your customers to ensure that you're making all the margin. All right, next question. There was a piggyback question on that, was, can we test this out for a month or two? Yeah, just talk to your client success person or your channel manager. It just generally depends on your commitment tiers and stuff, but we do have different incentives and things like that to try and get you going. Next question was, how do I get the recording? I don't know, Justin, actually, if you have a second to show your screen, that'd probably be the easiest way to describe it, and just click into a user and just show those call recordings already. Have a
Yeah. Oh, that's my mistake. I thought he meant recording for the webinar. Let's.
He might have meant. Let's do both. Yeah, the recording will be on. We'll usually upload this to YouTube. Plus, if you're registered, I think it actually just sends you the link after. But let's show it anyway, the call recordings within the agent, just in case.
Got it. Yeah. So very easy to get out of your live link. Very easy to get to. So with this, for each call, as long as you've enabled recording, there's no additional cost for recording, by the way, just so you know. All of that information is going to be stored here on the platform through the call history. Okay. So in this case, maybe I've had multiple calls here with Zap. I can simply just dive into that account, go to the incoming call. Here's my recording right here, as well as a breakdown of the tasks that it completed. So it's a nice little call summary going on here. Also worth noting is that you do have access to the call transcription. All right. So everything that it did when an actual integration attempt or hook occurred, it's going to list it. All right. So it's going to have the full conversation, what it's shared, a total breakdown of that call, essentially, along with that call recording that you saw there previously. All right. So also worth noting, and again, a quick reminder, is that you can tie these into the sentiment analysis tool. And Dan, I'm not going to get too far off the rails, so don't worry. But that said, within call history, we're going to have another tool. It is an additional cost. It is separate, but it is basically pennies to the dollar. Let's change our range here and filter this so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, call recordings will also still live in the call history, even though they've been tied to, right? I might need to open up my columns. Looks like sentiment analysis actually isn't even installed in this one. So we'll have to use our imagination, but the call recordings will also live in the PBX call history if you wish to reference it from there as well. Most folks are used to that, but either way, you're going to have that same call recording stored in the call history for up to 30 days. Same here with the AI agents, but leaning into the sentiment analysis tool, you'll also have another breakdown of the call, positive, neutral, and negative breakdown of the call throughout. Some topics that were picked up, highs, lows, mids in the conversation, things that were spoken about the most. And that's also going to have the call summary as well as transcription that is exportable with the CDR information. All right. So if you did need to get that off the platform, call history in the PBX would be the way to go. But if you just simply wanted that call recording, come here to the AI agents, go to the call history, and it's all going to be there waiting for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, and I saw that in the chat too. Just so you guys know, yeah, so we are showing what Justin's showing on the screen. That's our sandbox instance. So that's why it looks a little bit different. And then the AI agent itself is V1.2, which again is going live tonight. So that nice, fresher new interface. You guys will all have access to that as soon as that launches. All right, next question. So this was a good question for the NetSapiens agent about a workflow where if a customer calls in to make changes, they want to have like an approval process. So today that is not how it works, but we can definitely look into that. That's not a bad idea. We'll just have to, again, take that back to the team and see what they say. All right. Next question was, is it possible for the AI agent to perform an announced transfer and accept further instruction from the transfer destination, such as complete the transfer, transfer to a different user, transfer to my voicemail, take a message? So Justin, you might know better than I do, but from my testing, generally it's one of two things. And I'm assuming you could just probably program this in the agent instructions. It tries to transfer the call. If the person's unavailable, it just comes back and says, hey, that person's unavailable, and just gives them, whatever next steps. And I would assume you can prompt in the agent instructions what those other options would be, just like you had given there, David. Justin, was that your experience as well, testing the feature?
Absolutely correct. Yeah. So you can do the warm transfer to where basically you can outline information that needs to collect right before it reaches a human being, right? So if somebody tries to reach me, it's going to collect their name, their address, their phone number, their email address, whatever I instruct it to do. From there, it's going to put that person, that inbound caller, on hold. So some nice little music on hold music. And then from there, it's going to transfer off to me. And it's going to announce the information that it collected during that interaction from the inbound caller, all right, to me. And then I'll have a 1-2 punch option to accept or deny the call. If I do deny that call, yes, you can program the agent instructions to say, hey, if Justin's not available, if he doesn't want to take that call, send it to this particular number, this particular extension. And that could be, a voicemail box. It could be an auto attendant, not that you would want to do that, but a call queue, maybe even another individual. So if Justin's not available, send it off to Dan. Just plug in his extension for that. And yes, that can absolutely be done.
All right. And we do have like 10 more questions, but I did forget before the Q&A, we wanted to run the poll. So let's real quick jump into those if we can, Mel. You want to cast those up and we'll get into the rest of these questions. All right. So the first poll is if, this is actually not an if, we will be doing this. We actually have hired these people and they're getting trained up. If Viirtue offered dedicated subject matter experts to help you build and deploy agents as an hourly professional service, would you be interested? So this was pretty common feedback. Wow, that's pretty resounding. This was pretty common feedback that we got at the last two events where we met with you guys, that, maybe out of the gate, first couple while you're, trying to build confidence. And I don't know if you guys can see these results, but right now we have 45 yes, 2 no's. So That sounds good. We were hoping that we made good hires there. That's awesome stuff. So go ahead and give you guys another couple seconds, but this one looks pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Do you feel confident deploying AI agents yet, or do you guys feel like you need more webinars? Regardless, we are going to do more webinars, as you guys know. We're going to do more regional events. We're consistently updating the LMS as these new features come through. Yeah, we want to get it right from your guys' side. Cool. So a lot more webinars, but actually a lot more yeses than I had expected this early on. So again, we know this is new technology. As always, new technology is scary. So we want to do as much as possible to get you guys confident and comfortable. All right. And then you want to throw out the next one? All right. And then the final poll, we're planning those regional meetups as we discussed earlier in the presentation. Which city would you guys be willing to attend? Again, Texas, we're between Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. We'll do some outreach based on who wants to attend those. But yeah, just if you guys can give us a little sneak peek of the demand. Sweet. Awesome. Let it get to like 50 or something votes. Awesome. All right, cool. All right, you guys can, those polls will be in there so you can continue to vote on them if you haven't already. And let's get back to questions. So the next question was, are there any, oh yeah. So are there any plans to add an enhancement to allow transferring calls from the embeddable? So Justin, you want to take that one?
Not sure.
The web agent, the website agent.
Let me find the question. Any plans?
Lyria at 1136.
I'm not familiar with embeddable or what is
referring to the web chat, the website chat option.
I'm actually not sure on that one, Dan.
Yeah, so I think the answer to this one was like, yes, it's coming. So right now it's chat. It uses the same agent, and then you can connect right to it via the phone. But I just didn't know if Justin, if you knew anything different than I did. But I believe yes, you can already connect via that.
Oh, embedded. That's my fault. My fault. Yeah, the embedded agents. Yeah, absolutely. So it functions on the same model. When you embed the agent into a website, you're still talking to that same bot that you built that you would otherwise get when you call in. And yeah, if you're speaking to that agent through your computer audio or your ear pods or whatever's connected in, it still has all that same PBX functionality. So if you're chatting to it online, at that point you want to transfer off to somebody, as long as you have audio, it will transfer them off to that PBX extension, or again, even an off-net number, which would probably answer another question that's living in here that I'll jump to. Will soft transfers work when transferring to an extension that forwards to an external number, i.e. cell phone? Absolutely, but you can skip that step. Because in the transfer rules, you can actually change the extension to just be whatever number that you wish. Just type in the number and you can skip that step of having to forward off to an extension and then make that jump or leap to a cellular phone on a forward. Just do it directly from the transfer rules.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. All right, next question. Do you have a roadmap of all the new product launches or things you're looking into having with timeframes? This will save us a lot of time building certain things out, example, texting outbound, etc. So long story short, yeah, we try not to publish too far out because we don't like to overpromise and underdeliver. So we try and make sure that what we say is coming is stuff that's essentially already done. Usually by the time you guys know about it, we want to make sure, again, it's in a good enough spot. We've heard feedback from some of the partners about some of our competitors that like to show slides like a year or two early, and sometimes it gets even delayed further than that. So we just don't want to be those guys. So that being said, if you do have like questions, yeah, we definitely don't want you developing things that we plan to do. So yeah, Chris, in this case, just ping us. We're happy to share like, is that on the radar or not? But again, we try not to get too far ahead of ourselves because quite frankly, this stuff moves so fast that if we told you a year out, likely in a year that stuff will change. So again, we just try and keep it realistic from our experience. Yeah, and the next question was about the AI looks a little different than the version from the last webinar, and that is, again, because we are pushing out that update this evening. That's what Justin was showing you, the new version. Yeah, dashboard, so that is part of the new version. There is a nice dashboard, really visual, shows you all the resolutions, total call volume, basically all the stuff your customer will need to track at a high level and kind of uses their home base. So that is part of the new version launching tonight. Justin, I saw, yeah, you already answered that question, so keep it on moving. So the next question was, since it's integrated with NetSapiens, I'm assuming we can send out a text along with calling an extension and providing a warm transfer. So you can't do a text yet. That will be coming. compliance stuff, 10DLC, like you guys know the drill there. But what you can do is you can use like Zapier or N8N to send a text already today. But again, that will be coming native. We're also in the process of testing Twilio integration. Unfortunately, we've had our campaign rejected 6 times while we were trying to test it. So that actually, like, the feature's in there, but we just haven't been able to sufficiently test it because of Twilio with the 10 DLC stuff. So hopefully by the next version, we'll have Twilio in there if you wanted to use that. Plus we'll have the native SMS. But yeah, the warm transfer but on top of that, it'll do an intro and all that type of stuff to your team. All right, the next question. Can we log a call summary of an AI agent to the CRM using a Zap connection to a CRM? And absolutely yes. I think that's a great example, 100% a great example of how to use the tool. You can also probably do that just via webhook if you didn't want to waste like Zaps and spend the money. There's probably a cheaper way to do that if you will. Call whisper when transferring from an AI agent to a human. Yeah, no, that's a great feature request. Actually, there is a pretty cool feature of the AI agent that we didn't realize until after, and it wasn't designed to work this way, but it works. Because the agent is an extension within the system, which is unique to anything else out there. But because the agent actually registers as an extension within our system, you can actually conference an agent into a call and use it as like a coaching assistant, which is pretty cool. So I know not exactly what you're looking there for, Pros, but it's that we thought that was pretty cool and similar. But again, that's a good feature request. We can talk to the team about it. All right. Next question. Yeah, my biggest issue was connecting the agent to the M365 calendar. Connection works, but it seems like it can't create or access the appointments. And yeah, it's definitely a permissions thing. That's I guess the caveat of Microsoft. You just got to make sure that those permissions are enabled, and then you can do it. And then, yeah, I saw do you know what permissions causes? I saw Justin's going to follow up with you directly. So if anybody has any questions on that, or feel free to hit us in the Slack channel or wherever is easiest for you, we can provide some direction. Is there a way to transfer the data into a display screen or application so our live agent is able to see the information collected from the AI agent? I'm not sure if I understand that question. Is there a way to transfer?
So like a pre-screen. So as it's collecting like a live.
Yeah. Not today. I'm trying to think of the use case, because just remember, like, we don't want to overload you guys and, like, I guess assign, and this kind of comes back to that other question too about, you know, the NetSapiens integration. Do you have like a check before the integration can take place? And, you know, just trying to think of it from architecturally, it kind of like puts a damper on how the agent can perform if it's a live agent, it has to wait for a human to interact with it, if you get what I'm saying. So we'll take all this stuff back, as we always do. It's all good feedback, but just might be tough to you know, make that work, if you will. Park and Page, yes. So that is coming. Absolutely. That's been a pretty requested, and we just think it would be cool as hell. So yeah, Park and Page, it's not in this release, but it is coming. We did talk to the team about that already, and that's like essentially like, think of like an automotive shop. Somebody can call in and then, you know, can page the shop and say, hey, you know, so-and-so, or maintenance, you have a call on Park 1. So yeah, that will be coming. That was requested by more than one person. All right. Yeah, the rest of my team wasn't able to make it. Where can I get the recording for the webinar? Again, it'll get sent out automatically with the from Livestorm, and we're also going to have the ability for you to watch this on YouTube. We generally upload it pretty shortly after. All right, next question was dashboard for recording that's customer facing. So it should, Chris, that dashboard, as long as you have, it would be an office manager level scope. You have to be at least an office manager to see the agents the way it's configured. But as long as you set the permission for the office manager to see it, they'll get the same access as you. So they can tune on their own, they can view call recordings on their own. It's kind of just up to you guys as the partners if you want to give them the keys to that. Or, you know, I think probably if I was you guys, I'd probably withhold the keys for a couple of weeks until it's in a good spot and then share it, just so they don't jump in there and make any changes that break the agent or anything like that. Again, speaking from experience. All right. Next question was, could you conference the agent into a call? Yeah. Just like you said, as a note taker, doesn't talk, but just summarizes calls. I mean, yeah, if you could, you know, I haven't tested this, so I would say do it first. But assumptively, you could probably create an agent and just tell them the instructions, like, that's your job. You're going to be conferenced into calls, and, you know, just take notes. And maybe if I ask you a question, I think that was what we thought was cool, is like you can just ask the AI a question during the call, and it's AI, so it'll look up the answer for you while you're on that call. But again, it was just a kind of like a side effect of how the platform is configured that, yeah, you guys can get real creative with it. I don't see why you couldn't do that. All right, and I'll answer one more here. We still have a couple, and we're just running out of time. But are there any existing use cases you can share with the NetSuite integration? So I don't know if you meant NetSapiens by that, or if you meant actually NetSuite. But yeah, NetSuite you'd have to set up today via MCP. I believe that's in there as one of the like already out of the box that has been tested. But it's generally any of those like MCP to CRM integrations. You're going to use those for things like pushing the call data, so like the call record, time of the call, transcription, any next steps, like if you want to actually configure to do something in those systems. So like Justin was showing you today, you can either do that via the webhooks or you can do that via Zapier or N8N. So if you wanted to create like a follow-up task, like, hey, this customer called in, make sure you follow up with them, assign that to a rep. Those things should all definitely be achievable. All right. Cool. And I'm just jumping over here to chat. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Mel. Yeah, like if you don't use ViiBE for billing today, you can do a couple of things. So first of all, it will be in like each domain, there is the logs and the usage there. So you will be able to drill in, get all the usage, and you can manually bill for that. Or you can use ViiBE just to do the reconciliation and accounting. Remember, ViiBE connects to QuickBooks, it connects to ConnectWise and stuff like that. So you can have ViiBE set it up and push it into those. Or I've seen other partners just have ViiBE set up the invoice. And if you have a team that goes in there and you can pull the data out of there, whatever, is easier for you guys, but multiple ways to skin a cat. Obviously the easiest way is if you're just using ViiBE, it's completely automatic and self, as you guys saw, but yeah. And then there was a comment there, transfer on embed are currently not working. Again, that, remember the warm transfer is for the 1.2 that's going tonight. So we'll take a look after we update the 1.2, and then and we'll get back to you guys on that one. All right. Are you able to send? Yeah, actually, I think I saw that, right, Justin? The sending a call recording as a link that's part of the 1.2 too. So if they request, you can. Right, that was a checkbox. So yes, you can. And yes, the next one for compliance. So that's a great question, actually, there, Brad. Are we required to let callers know that calls are being recorded by the AI agent? And the answer is absolutely. So it's actually technically not mandatory for inbound yet. Outbound, the FCC has already ruled on. It's a matter of time. So what you guys will notice, that intro message that you guys set up in the agent, you can't interrupt that. So like, for example, if you call into the Viirtue main number, when it says, now, thank you for calling Viirtue, calls are recorded, this is an AI agent, you can't interrupt that message, and the reason is for compliance. So that is where you want to state that, again, calls are recorded, you're talking to an AI, and you'll future-proof yourself that. We've had talks with the FCC, like it's inevitable. There's going to be a ton of regulation around this, and again, that's obviously, as you guys know, something we here at Viirtue like to really lean in on, because we provide the tools to get around the regulation, or I should say to be compliant. So we definitely have a beat on that. We have a direct line with those folks that are actually creating that legislation, which is good because we can get ahead of it a little bit. But again, it's yes, I would do it, and that's why you can't interrupt that intro message. All right. Let me just see. Yeah, there was another question, like, can this replace Mondigo? So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, because remember, Mondigo is integrated with like the phone calling. This is the agent itself. So yeah, to me, I think like this is what makes the most sense for integrations down in the future. But you might have customers that, again, with the human experience, do you want those calls pushed to a CRM or anything like that? That's when you'd want to log in with a Mondigo or something like that. All right, awesome. All right, guys, I know we have a couple more questions, but I'll try and address them directly. Let's see, one more. Can we remove the AI notification if using the AI agent as an internal resource after call is transferred by a primary AI agent? So, Jeff, I think let me get back to you directly on that. I think I know what you're saying there, but I want to clarify with you, if that's okay. All right, well, we're just about end of time, so we'll wrap on up on that note. Thank you, Justin, for if you guys knew how much work behind the scenes, oh my gosh. Thank you, Justin. Thank all of you guys for joining us, taking time out of your busy day. And again, any questions, please feel free to reach out. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. We're going to go on this road trip here pretty soon. But always a pleasure, guys. Look forward to doing this again. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Yep. Bye, guys.